What's up, everyone? We are moving on to 7.2. So for this, we're looking at economic sectors and patterns. So moving right along, explain the spatial patterns of industrial production and development. So for here, we're going to be looking at the different sectors of the economy, what they're called, and what they do. So this first one, primary economic activities. So just like the term itself, primary first, this is like the first layer, first level of economic activity. These are just raw materials. This has to do with extracting these natural resources. So this includes anything from mining, various materials, things like fishing and agriculture, like you're extracting directly from the earth, like these are natural resources, forestry, anything along those lines would be considered primary. So think of that as like the first step or first level. These are things that you can also consume directly, right? Like you can get a fish and for yourself. Once it's processed, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Secondary economic activities, that has to do with the processing and manufacturing of raw materials into a finished product. So anything that involves factories or manufacturing, that would fall into that category. If like the example that I used earlier with fish being the primary economic activity, once it gets processed and packaged, then that could be considered second because it's gone through some sort of like processing in order to make it consumable. Then we have tertiary economic activities. This is anything that focuses on selling, moving, trading items, moving these goods that have been gathered in the primary sector or processed in the secondary sector. So think of anything with retail, marketing, design, restaurant, shipping. So stores, anything along those would be tertiary. And the tertiary sector has two categories. We have the quaternary and then the quinary sectors. So for quaternary economic activities, these are knowledge-based sectors. So think about research and information, development and then transfer of that. So things like investment banking, real estate, that takes a particular like knowledge base and skill set, right? College professors, that's a great example, right? In education, you have people that focus in a particular like knowledge skill set, software developers. And then finally, quinary economic activities. These are like high-level decision makers. So think of government or think of business, Congress, CEOs, like anybody with a governmental position that is making decisions that impacts people's lives at a large scale. And relating this back to development.